President Lee Jae-myung, at his first town hall meeting of the year held in Ulsan, called for the rebalancing of development away from the capital and a ramping up of AI investment in the manufacturing hub. 73 South Koreans accused of running large-scale scam and violent crime rings in Cambodia have been extradited and brought back to South Korea to face criminal investigations. Prime Minister Kim Min-seok has rejected U.S. investors' claims that the government unfairly targeted Kupang, saying his remarks were distorted and stressing that the administration is not discriminating against the e-commerce giant. President Lee Jae-myung held his first town hall meeting of the year today in Ulsan. The key focus was shifting the heavy concentration of resources away from the capital area and making AI investment into the manufacturing stronghold city. Our Blue House correspondent Yoon Jung-min reports.
The heavy concentration of resources and opportunities centered on the capital and surrounding areas was one of the key topics addressed at the town hall meeting in the nation's southeastern city of Ulsan on Friday. President Lee Jae-myung once again called for a change in strategies at the state level.
몰빵하는 정책들을 좀 이제는 바꿔야 된다. 양극화도 심해지고 또 차별도 심해지고. 기회도 좀 적어지고.
Adding that imbalance is to blame for higher home prices in the capital, one of South Korea's pending issues. He reiterated that balanced regional growth is no longer a good deed, but a must for the survival of the nation. Lee has been pushing for a so-called 5 poles and 3 special areas policy, putting certain regions together as a group to achieve tailored development, which he said will be met by resistance.
쉽지가 않아요. 그런데 이 관성도 있고 또 기득권도 있어서 원래 변화를 주면 불편하잖아요, 그죠? 우리 국민들의 공감과 지지, 지원이 정말로 중요합니다. 많이.
Speaking in the manufacturing stronghold, President Lee said Ulsan will play a key role in the era of AI transition.
때문에 인공지능의 제조업 적용을 우리가 빨리 해가지고 이 분야에서 우리가 좀 앞서 나가자. 근데 그 측면에서는 울산이 매우 강점이 있다. 여기다 집중 투자를 한번 해보자.
Ideas were pitched to bring more artificial intelligence firms to the city.
I hope a specialized zone is established at Ulsan University so that firms can share data in the process of developing AI and be given an appropriate level of incentives.
Since taking office last June, the president has been crisscrossing the country to meet people and hear their opinions. Ulsan was chosen as the first city of the year to hold a town hall meeting where some 200 people attended. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
The confirmation hearing for Lee Hae-won, the nominee for Minister of Planning and Budget, is underway at the National Assembly. The Finance Planning Committee reconvened on Friday after the hearing was halted on Monday following a heated clash between the ruling and opposition parties over the nominee. Even before the hearing began on Friday, lawmakers from the main opposition, People Power Party, raised procedural objections holding placards. In her opening remarks, nominee Lee gave a public apology to those who were hurt by her immature words and actions. She added that she had been single-minded and obsessed about proving herself through policy commitment and results. Lee has been at the center of controversies amid allegations of her involvement in verbal abuse and alleged mistreatment of aides, favoritism for her children, and improper housing subscription practices. Dozens of South Koreans suspected of scam operations from Cambodia landed here at Incheon International Airport earlier this morning to face criminal investigation. Our Jung Hae-rim reports.
73 South Koreans accused of operating scams and violent crime rings in Cambodia have been extradited to South Korea for investigation. The suspects arrived Friday morning at Incheon International Airport aboard a chartered Korean air flight from Phnom Penh. Detention warrants had already been issued for them when they boarded the plane, as the inside of a Korean-registered plane is considered national territory under Korean law. Upon landing, all 73 suspects were taken into custody and transferred to detention facilities, wearing handcuffs and escorted by 2 police guards per person. The suspects, mostly men in their 20s and 30s, kept their heads down, wore masks, and refused to answer any reporters' questions. The suspects allegedly defrauded 869 South Korean victims of around $33.3 million through romance scams, fake investment schemes, and other fraudulent activities, according to the Blue House. 70 of the suspects are linked to scam crimes, while 3 face additional charges, including hostage-taking, robbery, and illegal gambling. Notably, a married couple accused of running a large-scale romance scam using deepfake technology were among the extradited after going through extreme measures, including plastic surgery to avoid capture. Police say the suspects were detained at 7 scam compounds across Cambodia, including sites in Sihanoukville, Poi Phet near the Thai border, and Mondulkiri province near Vietnam. Victims, Korean men in their 20s who were held hostage and tortured, were also reportedly rescued during the raid. The operation was led by the Cambodian Police Force and Intelligence Service, assisted by a joint Korean task force involving the National Police Agency, Justice and Foreign Affairs Ministries, and the National Intelligence Service. This is South Korea's largest ever requested extradition of criminal suspects from a single nation. Officials say police will question the suspects before prosecutors seek formal arrest warrants. 정혜림, Arirang News.
The Prime Minister's office says 2 U.S. investors who filed arbitration claims against the South Korean government distorted remarks made by Prime Minister Kim Min-seok. Meanwhile, Kim has denied that Korea is discriminating against Kupang, making the comments during a meeting with U.S. lawmakers. Cha Eun-kyung reports.
The South Korean government on Friday pushed back against comments by U.S. investors that cited remarks by Prime Minister Kim Min-seok, saying those remarks had been distorted and taken out of context. The Prime Minister's office said Kim's comments were intended to emphasize the government's resolve to correct unfair business practices and create a fairer market in order to build investor confidence. It stressed that Kim did not refer to any specific company. However, in media reports, Kim was quoted as urging regulators to pursue enforcement over a data breach at Kupang with the same determination used to wipe out mafias. Following those remarks, 2 major U.S. investors in the e-commerce giant Greenox Capital Partners and Altimeter Capital Management argued that Kim's comments were effectively aimed at Kupang and cited them in an investor-state dispute settlement or ISDS, claiming the government was unfairly targeting the company. Greenox Capital Partners and Altimeter Capital Management on Thursday notified the South Korean government of their intent to pursue international arbitration, accusing authorities of discriminatory treatment toward the U.S.-listed firm. They said they plan to file arbitration claims under the South Korea-U.S. Free Trade Agreement. The move follows a series of South Korean government investigations into Kupang after a massive customer data breach was revealed last November. Against this backdrop, Prime Minister Kim said South Korea is not discriminating against Kupang in investigating a massive data leak at the company during a meeting with U.S. lawmakers in Washington on Thursday local time. Kim added that the South Korea-U.S. relationship is such a trusting relationship that there is no need to worry about discriminatory treatment. Kim also made a comparison between the Kupang incident and the last September's surprise detention of South Korean workers in the U.S. state of Georgia, saying South Korea does not think the Georgia incident was a discrimination case resulting from the fact that they were South Korean workers. The Prime Minister voiced hope that his visit would serve to develop the allies' relations in a more stable and continuous manner, including the swift implementation of follow-up measures to a bilateral trade deal. Cha Eun-kyung, Arirang News.
On the diplomatic front, efforts to establish peace continue. A closed-door meeting between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump in Davos was followed by a similar interaction between Russian leader Vladimir Putin and U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff in Moscow. Our Kim Bo-kyung has the latest.
Top U.S. negotiators, including Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner and Russian President Vladimir Putin, have held talks in Moscow. Lasting more than 3 hours, the talks ran from Thursday night into the early hours of Friday. President Putin had previously indicated that he would discuss with Witkoff a plan to allocate $1 billion from Russia's frozen assets in the United States into the Board of Peace, a new international body proposed by Trump. Before that, U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had a meeting on Thursday in Davos, Switzerland, which both of them described positively. On the sidelines of the World Economic Forum, the two leaders had an hour-long session on post-war security guarantees for Ukraine and plans for economic reconstruction.
I had a very good meeting with President Zelensky. Everybody wants to have the war end.
Zelensky, too, gave a positive assessment of the talks and added that Ukrainian and Russian teams will have their first trilateral meeting with U.S. officials in the United Arab Emirates on Friday and Saturday.
And I think that it will be the first trilateral meeting in Emirates. It will be tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. Yes, it will be 2 days meetings in Emirates.
Witkoff also said earlier that he believed the two sides were down to one issue without elaborating. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
Back on the local front, the South Korean Navy Special Forces assigned with deep-sea missions conducted their grueling winter training this week to strengthen their readiness posture. Our Cho Young-eun was there.
Despite freezing temperatures, 70 deep-sea divers from the Sea Salvage and Rescue Unit pushed through grueling drills and high-intensity physical training. Operating under the motto to the vaster and deeper sea, the SSU carries out critical missions at maritime disaster sites, including search and the rescue of distressed surface ships and submarines.
Through training that mirrors real-life operations, we ensure the highest level of rescue readiness to protect the lives of our people.
The training runs for 4 days in late January, traditionally the coldest part of winter in Korea, with temperatures dropping to as low as -8 degrees Celsius. Here, the SSU runs intensive winter training to build physical endurance and mental resilience needed to withstand the winter seas.
The SSU is ready to dive into the sea even in the freezing cold, if it means protecting our fellow service members and the public. We're fully prepared to carry out any mission.
Divers conduct scuba proficiency drills in waters near Guimet Naval Port, practicing search and rescue operations for simulated drowning victims. The highlight of the training is the Iron Platoon Selection Competition designed to test the diver's stamina, teamwork, and operational capability under extreme conditions. At the unit's basic diving training facility, divers train using a surface-applied diving system. They practice tasks such as assembling pipes and tying knots in low-visibility underwater conditions. Teamwork is further assessed through time-based competitions in group running, rubber boat paddling, and open water fin swimming. Cho Young-eun, Arirang News, Guimet.
The Culture Ministry will allocate 499 billion Korean won to its Content Policy Fund to raise the total to 731.8 billion won. The fund was jointly set up with the Korea Venture Investment Corporation and is now 22% larger on year and stands as the largest content policy fund ever established. The ministry links this reality to the administration's resolve to support the growth of K-culture into a 300 trillion won market. The world-renowned animated Netflix film K-pop Demon Hunters has been nominated at some of the world's most prestigious awards ceremonies. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences announced on Thursday local time that the movie was nominated for the Best Animated Feature Film and Golden from its original soundtrack for the Best Original Song at the 98th Academy Awards. The Academy Awards ceremony will be held on March 15 in Los Angeles. Meanwhile, the music has also received recognition at the Brit Awards 2020. 2026. Golden, sung by the fictional girl group Huntrix, received a nomination for International Song of the Year. Blackpink member Rosé's Apatu was also nominated in the same category. This year's ceremony for the Brit Awards 2026 is scheduled to take place on February 28th. A small county in southern Korea is drawing attention with a bold travel policy allowing visitors to explore the area at half the cost. And the efforts are already paying off, delivering a boost to the local economy. For more, we have our culture correspondent Park Konu in the studio with us. Happy Friday, Konu.
Happy Friday, Hae-ryun.
So, Konu, you just returned from the southern part of the country.
That's correct. I just came back yesterday. It took me about 5 hours to get back here. And you know what? I also brought this with me. And this is 60,000 won, Korean won. And you might have guessed, but this is all thanks to Gangjin's new innovative travel policy. And they gave me this as a reimbursement. And actually, they gave me in the form of the local gift certificates. But before I tell you more, first take a look at how Gangjin is making all of this possible. Imagine being able to travel for half the cost. This is what's happening in Gangjin-gun, one of the southernmost counties on the Korean peninsula, surrounded by a beautiful ocean and bays spread with vast reed fields. Known for its clean environment and rich biodiversity, Gangjin has been offering pre-registered travelers half of their spending in local gift certificates since 2024, usable on their next visit. This policy aims to revitalize the region as its population declines, now standing at just over 30,000. And since this year's program began on January 19th, visitors have already been pouring in, despite Korea's recent cold snap.
I hadn't visited before because it felt far away, but this policy makes it very appealing, as you can enjoy traditional culture and explore around. If it expands nationwide, I think more young couples will choose domestic travel.
The numbers back that up. In the first year, more than 15,000 groups joined the program, spending around $4.5 million. Just a year later, participation jumped to nearly 40,000, with spending more than doubling. And as hands-on cultural travel continues to grow, Gangjin is fast becoming more than just a sightseeing stop. Thanks to its rich natural environment, Gangjin is the perfect place to enjoy authentic rural culture. And at this time of year, one of the highlights is definitely tangerine picking. And you can just walk through vinyl houses and pick fresh tangerines right off the trees and enjoy a fun hands-on experience. When life gives you tangerines, every piece of fruit delivers a message to those tired of city life, offering a taste of farmers' hard work and a slower, more natural rhythm of life.
The half-price travel policy has had a huge impact on our local economy. Guest numbers at our farm are up about 30%. As the local population is limited, visitors from outside are bringing new energy into this rural community.
And the experiences don't stop at tangerines. Depending on visitor taste, Gangjin offers a wide array of activities, including traditional tea making and tasting, as the places where Korea's first commercial tea was produced. Visitors can gently place tea leaves into molds to experience the making process firsthand and learn proper drinking etiquette along the way. Classic tea snacks like sweet bean jelly add even more depth and flavor to the experience. With so much to see, taste, and experience all at half the price, Gangjin is turning simple moments from tangerines to tea into experiences worth remembering.
So given the popularity, it looks like this program is only going to continue to grow.
That's exactly right. So according to officials, thousands of people accessed the official website simultaneously after registration opened on Monday. And even though this is typically the off-season for travel in Korea, officials say they expect even more visitors in the months ahead.
As the weather warms up in February, we'll have the Celadon Festival, followed by flower festivals in April and May. And since the opening of Gangjin train station last September, the county's first transportation access has improved significantly.
And for those considering a visit, here are a few things to keep in mind. To receive the benefits, visitors must register and download the mobile app called Check. And even if you can't travel by the end of this year, the gift certificates can also be used to purchase local products through local online marketplaces. And I'm also planning to order some tea with my 60,000 won I sampled during my hands-on experience. And one more thing is, a phone registered with a Korean mobile carrier is required, so please keep that in mind.
But Konu, I hear there are some concerns as well.
That's right. While experts welcome the fact that many people are gathering to the site, they stress that sustainability is key when evaluating the policy, adding that it'll take even more time to assess its long-term impact more accurately. And experts also point out that cash-based returns alone are not a lasting solution. And that's why one expert I spoke to said continued efforts beyond simple financial support are needed to make the policy truly sustainable.
Relying entirely on local government funding does come with risks. That's why both the public and private sectors need to share responsibility. In the end, it's not just about price. Attractive tourism content matters more. If the content is good enough, people will come, even without heavy discounts.
He also pointed to Gyeongju as a successful example where historical heritage is combined with technology to attract more visitors. And he added that local governments need to take an objective look at their tourism content to create experiences people genuinely want.
All right, Konu, thank you so much for your report today.
Always a pleasure.
As part of a special coverage on how Korea-France relations have evolved over the past 140 years, our correspondent Arirang sat down with France's top curator on Asian art, president of Europe's largest Asian art museum and Knight of the French Order of Merit, Dr. Yannick Lintz. The full interview will air tonight at 10 p.m. Here's a preview.
Thank you, Dr. Lintz, so much for making time for us today.
It's a pleasure for me to welcome you here in Guimet Museum.
Musée Guimet is very well known for being the biggest museum in Europe, holding Korean art, Asian art. And well, first, could you introduce your Korean collection and why it matters as a reference point for Korean art in Europe?
Yes, you're right. We are so lucky to have one of the most important in the world, I should say. And what is also symbolic for us is our museum opened in 1889, and 4 years later, in 1893, we opened Korean galleries. So it's really linked in the history of the museum, and it was at this time in the heart of the collection. So that's why it's of course still now, after many acquisitions, donation, one of the most important in the world, and I should say the most important in Europe. And what is also for us important, 1893 is an important date. It's just 4 years after the opening of the museum, and it's 7 years after the opening of the diplomatic relation between Korea and France. So I think it symbolizes very well the importance of Korea in this museum.
So from a curatorial perspective, what do you think are still maybe under-recognized by the European audience when it comes to Korean art?
My opinion is that here in Europe, we don't know very well Korean art, and it's our responsibility, our mission to promote it better. That's why this year, 2026, we will have a special Korean season in Musée Guimet. Because here, because of the relation with Japan, for instance, and what we call sometimes Orientalism during 19th century, people here know better Japanese art, for instance. They know a little about Chinese porcelain or Chinese calligraphy, but it's for them very difficult to understand the place of Korean arts in this area of Eastern Asia. So I will be happy if in 1 year, with all the visitors we are expecting here for this Korean season, that I can hear, now I understand what, and I see what is Korean art.
You play a very important, very crucial role in promoting Korean art, of course, here in France. And would you say that the recognition has been growing by the year?
Yes, I think, of course, everyone knows about the importance of the Hallyu movement, the K-pop, K-beauty, and we will have here, as the first exhibition of the Korean year in March, next March, a K-beauty exhibition. So I think to be able to be attractive for people to discover Korean art, I think it's interesting to enter in it by the present phenomenon of K-pop, K-beauty. And I think it's a good way to understand the past through the present.
Finally, as we look forward into the year of 2026, the 140th year of Korea-France relations, what kind of meaningful developments do you hope to see as cultural institutions in particular expand cooperation?
Of course, such a special celebration of the 140 years diplomatic relation between Korea and France has to be an opportunity to develop more relation and to build a fundamental project for the future. Of course, exhibitions, books, conference, but also for me what is important is to know better all Korean artists, musicians, performers, of course the Korean cinema. So at the end of 26, what I can tell you, it will not be the end of Korean events here in Guimet Museum.
I see there's more to come, and we hope to see you later in the year in Seoul. Thank you very much for your time, Dr. Lintz.
Thank you.
Cold wave warnings have now been in effect for 5 straight days since Monday around the country. Cold wave advisories are in place for most parts of the country, including Seoul, Incheon, Daejeon, and Daegu. Cold wave warnings are also remaining in place for parts of Gyeonggi-do, inland areas of Gangwon-do, northern parts of Chungcheongbuk-do, and the parts of Gyeongsang-do provinces. Meanwhile, another round of snow is expected along the west coast of the Jeollado provinces this weekend. By tomorrow morning, coastal areas of the Jeollado provinces and Ulleung-do could see 2 to 7 centimeters of snow, with 1 to 5 centimeters in Gwangju and the mountainous areas of Jeju Island. Seoul will start off at minus 11 degrees tomorrow morning, with Chuncheon at minus 14 degrees. Highs will rise up to only minus 2 degrees in Seoul, 5 degrees in Busan. Temperatures will slowly start to rise and the cold will ease up a bit. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That's all we have for tonight. I'm Moon Hae-ryun, filling in for Kim Da-mi. From all of us here at Arirang, thanks for watching and good night.
Time to set the facts straight. Get Korea right. K-culture is sweeping the globe. K-pop, K-drama, K-movie, K-food, and even K-beauty. Korean cultural content is gaining more and more fans worldwide. It's indeed the golden age of K-culture. But with this growing interest comes an increase in misinformation about Korea. There's so much inaccurate information out there. Even AI can sometimes get it wrong. So, we must set things straight and correct all the misinformation. So here's the plan. The Voluntary Agency Network of Korea, VANK, and Arirang TV present the Get Korea Right project. Our goal is to provide accurate information on important keywords that come to mind when we think of Korea. Blatant errors and false claims that distort history. It's time to set the record straight, sharing the true history and culture of Korea while raising the national brand. Let's get started with Get Korea Right. Are you ready to join?
Knock knock! The magical door to the world of K-animation is swinging wide open. Meet your instant new BFF, the adorable Catch. Tina Ping will have you hooked from the very first glance. Need a hand? Our Robocar Pony Rescue team is always zooming in to save the day. How about tagging along on Pinkfong and Pal's super exciting quest to reclaim their lost magic? With the mysterious life forms Kabion by your side, you can become a Kabion master and save humanity like a total hero. Protecting children's innocence while igniting their boundless imaginations. That's the magic of Korean animation. K-Animation, the ultimate bestie for kids worldwide.
Welcome to Within the Frame, where we bring the most pressing issues across the globe into focus. I'm Kim Mo-gen. K-content has once again proven its global staying power. At the 83rd Golden Globe held earlier this month, K-pop Demon Hunters clinched 2 major awards, signaling not just another milestone, but a potential pivot point for the future of Hallyu. From K-pop and dramas to fashion, beauty, and even tourism, the Korean wave has evolved far beyond a trend. It's becoming embedded in everyday lifestyles, especially among younger audiences in the U.S. and around the world. With over-the-top platforms driving unprecedented visibility and fan bases expanding across age, race, and gender lines, the conversation is no longer if K-culture will last, but how it will grow from here. For a deeper discussion on this, we connect to Seok-Hyung Kim, professor of Theater and Performance Studies and Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and External Engagement at UCLA. A big welcome, Professor Kim.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start right away, of course, with the big wins. On January 11th, K-pop Demon Hunters swept 2 awards at the Golden Globes. What's your view? We wonder, how much of a turning point has the K-pop Demon Hunters craze become for the spread of Korean pop culture?
The global success of K-pop Demon Hunters creates a huge moment where K-culture is pivoting towards much broader and younger audience. I was greatly impressed by how pervasive the power of K-pop Demon Hunters were. You can hear the golden soundtrack everywhere you go, and you see all these young kids, as well as adults, dressed up as their characters during Halloween, and you also see parades where K-pop Demon Hunters characters are featured in major events such as Thanksgiving Parade, hosted by Macy's department store, which is a 100-year-old tradition in the US. So I would say that something that I've noticed as new level of success that was created by K-pop Demon Hunters is that the fandom is getting much younger, and the merchandise and the products that are associated with the shows are seen everywhere, and it's pervasive. It has truly entered the mainstream.
Right, it really feels like a breakthrough moment, not just for the film itself, but for the entire movement, which raises us to the key question: what is really so special about this? What do you think sets K-pop Demon Hunters apart from earlier waves of K-content?
That's a great question. So I believe that the earlier Korean cultural content that have done so well in the US have emphasized the contemporary, modern, urban glitz of what we think of South Korea as this economic miracle and a place that has gone through tremendous development. K-pop Demon Hunters is unique because it highlighted the traditional beauty and culture and belief system of old Korea. And I think as a result, people's perception have shifted to think that traditional aspects of Korean culture is also unique, beautiful, and attractive. So the content creators nowadays can bank on the fact that working on traditional aspect of Korean life will be a guarantee of success as well.
So now we're getting deeper into the traditions of Korean origin. Now, Professor, let's zoom out a little bit first. So how would you say the current Korean wave in the U.S. has evolved? Before, you've mentioned that in America, K-culture is not really seen as exotic content anymore, but now it's a lifestyle. Could you expand on that?
Sure. The biggest difference that I see between previous iteration of K-pop culture, K-culture boom and the current Hallyu trend is that I think people's perception has shifted. So in the past, when any K-pop groups enter Billboard or any top 200 or 100 charts, it was big news because it was exception to the rule. Nowadays, I think the majority of US fandom consumers would agree that Korea is a place which is really good at making these impactful pop culture that is enjoyed by many generations and across gender lines and regional differences within the US. So this center of gravity has shifted. And I think there's general consensus that Korea is a trendy place. And I think only few people would argue against that. So I think this perceptual level is really felt as something that has really shifted in past few years. And another thing is that I think K-culture fandom is getting increasingly diversified across age groups and across regional difference in the US. As many people know, United States is a highly divided nation where many social conflicts and political differences really create so much of tension. Whereas I don't see that kind of division playing out in Korean culture fandom. I think there's something so universal and generally appealing about Korean culture that unites people.
Wow, so it seems like a very meaningful shift. What was once niche is now almost a mainstream in America. Now, staying on that, you pointed out that it's the American millennials and Gen Zs who are driving K-culture's expansion into tangible consumer areas like beauty, fashion, food, and tourism as well. What makes this generation particularly responsive to K-culture?
So, as we know, millennials and Gen Z are, brought up under highly digitized society. They really have not known any alternate ways of living other than to be part of this digital consumerism and networked social relations. So, in short, they're very comfortable in consuming and sharing their views and building their identity in online space. And they have very little resistance against foreign culture where you might have to go through translations and cultural interpretations. So they're prone to being more receptive to foreign language cultures. And at the same time, the US as a whole has become a somewhat different and more challenging environment for many young people. The job security, which used to be guaranteed with a certain level of education, is no longer there. So I would say millennials and Gen Z in the US are struggling. I think they have harder time than their parents or grandparents' generation, who used to believe in American dream. And in this kind of challenging environment, Korean culture, with its healing message and the message of unity, comes across as a place where they can really pursue alternate dreams and also be comforted by sharing their views with like-minded people.
Right, so these generations really seem to be shaping global culture in real time. But it's not only them, like you've said, Korean dramas are gaining traction among other groups like older male viewers across various ethnic groups in the United States. So with K-content now reaching across generations, races, and gender lines, what kind of long-term implications do you see for the future of Hallyu?
So diversifying fandom for K-culture is a great thing for the longevity of Korean cultural boom. As you mentioned, we have surveys which tell us that there is this older male fandom for K-drama scenes, and they might not be the most active fandom to be kind of visible in online activities, but nevertheless, they're there. And also, recent surveys show that there is really high Hispanic fandom basis for Korean dramas, which is a really positive thing for the future because, Hispanics in the U.S. is the fastest growing ethnic group. And according to some surveys, by 2060, they will be the majority ethnic group in the state of California, where I live. So for the longevity of the success of Korean culture, diversifying fandom, which includes older male fans for K-dramas, as well as other ethnic minorities, is a really positive thing.
Right, definitely. It's really fascinating to see how it's cutting across boundaries we didn't really expect. So with this, then why do you think, what do you think is the secret behind K-content's ability to connect with such a broad global audience? And what's the single strongest competitive edge that it sets apart from other cultural exports?
If I have to mention one thing, I would mention Korea's unique ability to present hybridized culture to the global audience. And what I mean by that is Korean content is really strong in presenting a perfect balance of what is traditional and what is ultra modern. If we look back on Korean history itself, it has transformed so rapidly from pre-modern society to the very fashionable, trend-setting, hyper-contemporary consumerist society. And because the period for development was so condensed, Korea was able to retain many aspects of traditional culture while also being conversant with the global pop culture trends. And also at the same time, it was able to develop economically to invest heavily in entertainment sectors, which enabled the production of very high quality contents. But at the same time, its past history is not immersed in imperial expansions or colonizing other countries to the degree that global fans might push back, because nowadays fans might be very conscious of the ethical dimension of the entertainment industry itself. So I think this unique advantage really put Korea in a special place. And I would be remiss to not mention how the creative talent in Korea is so hardworking, and because of this very demanding fandom and Korean viewership, which always raises the bar of creators to produce something better and more unique and original, really contributed to Korean content's uniqueness and its competitive edge.
Right, definitely. So as you've said, hybridized culture, balancing tradition and modern aspects, it's really a great point for Korean culture. Now, when we speak of this spread of Korean culture, we cannot not talk about over-the-top platforms like Netflix. It's clearly played a huge role in the global breakout of K-content, not just K-pop Demon Hunters, but also other hits like, Squid Game. So how exactly has Netflix changed the way K-culture spreads? And what do you see as key challenges moving forward?
So the global rise of Netflix as the leading platform where global viewership access so many content was incredibly important for the globalization of Korean dramas and Korean entertainment programs. Particularly during COVID, when people had to stay home without going to movie theaters and access the global content through Netflix, really provided incredible opportunity for Korean dramas to rise to the top. I think that Korean content always had such high level quality. And global platforms like Netflix made it available and visible to the global audience. The challenges facing the entertainment industry ahead is that I hope that global platforms like Netflix will be able to grow symbiotically with the local talent by supporting and investing emerging talents. So that this current success is not just a temporary phenomenon, but it could be a momentum for mutually beneficial growth.
Well, that'll be a very important tip for many of us. But in order to, keep the momentum going and prevent the Korean wave from becoming just another passing trend, then what do you think is the biggest pitfall that should be avoided right now?
So the replication of the same success model could be dangerous. That is to say that the content creators should think about how to diversify genres and forms of expression that could attract more global fandom. And this is why K-pop Demon Hunters was unique, because it brought animation into the fold of Hallyu portfolio. It used to be K-pop and K-dramas as two engines that drove Hallyu's success. But just like K-pop Demon Hunters brought animation into our consideration, content creators really need to think about what else is out there, what else have we not tapped into.
Definitely, it's a very critical point. So staying relevant and staying alert will be very important. Now, finally, Professor Kim, before we let you go, you've mentioned before that the real expansion of Hallyu actually will begin now. So as we look ahead to the year 2026 and beyond, what do you think K-culture's next phase would actually look like?
Well, I certainly wish that it will reach our daily life, the choices that we make every day. And that is to say that the success of K-culture will translate into people's lifestyle and life choices. And we certainly see that happening already. It's truly hard to avoid K-beauty products when you enter any commercial space in large urban places like LA and many other cities. And I think this was enabled by the tremendous popularity of Korean dramas. So I certainly hope that the everyday consumption patterns will be really influenced by the success of Korean cultural boom in 2026 and beyond.
Right, that gives us a powerful sense of where things are headed. So K-culture isn't just having a moment, it's really building a future, and the world will be watching together forward. Thank you so much for your insights tonight, Professor Kim. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And that'll be all from us on Within the Frame tonight. Be sure to tune in again next time as we continue to explore the stories that matter. Until then, stay informed and engaged.